Hey everyone, we are back with another update video, and with me as always is Corey.
Hey guys.
So we'll just dive into it. This video is probably going to be pretty short, but it does cover two very major milestones in DaemonClaw land, which I guess we'll call NAR. And that is that for the modern version, the Steam version, we have officially submitted it to Steam or Valve for approval for early access. So we're still in the state for the modern version, where the modern version itself is still a work in progress. You can play all the way through as the main character Elric with just like the standard difficulty. So all of his abilities, powers, all the levels, sub-boss, boss fights, that's all done, or I should say implemented, but there's still a lot of room for polish, debugging, and tweaking and all of that. But people will be able to start playing that en masse very soon and hopefully giving us some great feedback as we just continue over the coming foreseeable future because well, I'll get into that later, but people will be able to give us feedback as we continue to add what's missing and improve on what's already there. And this current version, once Valve approves of it and we can make it live, it also will let people play the completed Sega Mega Drive / Genesis version. Also, as soon as this does get approved, all of you backers who backed for any of the physical versions of DaemonClaw or the Steam version itself will finally be able to start sending you out your Steam keys so you can start playing the Mega Drive version and the work in progress PC version. Hopefully it's just a matter of weeks. We have to coordinate with NeoFid to get those Steam keys out to you once we have the keys. And then going back to the point I started to make before, just due to the nature of Steam, the modern PC version, it's the easiest for us to continually update as frequently and as often as we want to. So even after we get all the features in, we plan on continuing to add nice little bonuses and Easter eggs and things like that for quite a while. And that's about it for the Steam version. And moving on to the Neo Geo version, the big milestone for that is not only do we continue to make general progress on the programmer side, he keeps adding more features. I know he recently was working on implementing the final boss fight, but also on top of that, as we've mentioned before, I've been bouncing back and forth, sending updated sprite sheets and change and tweak requests to polish up the second playable character, which again, for every system or every version of DaemonClaw, it's a totally unique character. And finally, the second playable character is polished up enough, still a work in progress, but good enough that we can finally reveal that character to you. So here we are in the actual Neo Geo version startup sequence, so I can kind of use this as the reveal for the second playable character. So all I have to do is press left or right, and you will now see the second playable character. And her name is Zardona, and she is actually the daughter of the, the king's advisor, the wizard, that had sent out Elric on the mission to fight all this Verkin and protect humanity and all that stuff in the first place. And she's got a strained relationship with her dad, but I will let you guys discover what that's all about while playing the actual game, or I mean when you guys get a chance to play the actual game. But one of the reasons it's been taking quite a while to get this character refined enough to show is this character, in a sense, is almost 4 characters. And we only got one of those extra characters polished up enough to show you. But so I'm going to, future Mike is going to actually, when I start explaining some of this stuff, actually splice in some gameplay footage. So what you should be seeing now in this gameplay footage is her general fighting style of the 2 existing characters, Elric and then Gareth from the Mega Drive version, who is also a character from the Demons of Asterborg game by NeoFid. It's closest to Gareth, where you've got kind of button mashing, where you could do a general 3 attack sequence. If you hold up, you can do an upward attack. If you hold down, you do a high attack that's somewhat similar to Elric's uppercut, but it's got a built-in attack for behind yourself at the end of it. And instead of a general drop kick, she spins her kind of, it's closest to a halberd, but it's actually a magical staff with the halberd blades kind of at the top of it near the gem, but she spins that while she's doing her kind of drop kick move, which gives it extra horizontal range. So the idea of her gameplay is she's agile. Oh, another thing, like Gareth, the first few frames of her dash move are actually a dodge, so she can go through small enemies to the other side or dodge projectile weapons to kind of get through them and counterattack the enemy. So her gameplay out of all of the characters, her regular physical attacks are the least damaging, but her special thing are those other characters I mentioned, where for her strongest attack. So usually if you just do the button mashing and the third time you press the button, if you're not holding a direction, you just do a strongest attack with your kind of halberd-like weapon. But if you're holding different directions during the initiation of that final attack, if you have enough mana or the blue meter, then she actually summons a demon to do that final strong attack for her. And I only got one of those demons polished up enough. You should be seeing it in game, but the timing of it in game isn't perfect yet. It's too fast, and it's supposed to pause the whole game for a very brief moment at a particular frame, but hopefully you could see what's going on. So her kind of gameplay is going to be use your agility, dance around, position yourself nicely so that when you can do your demon attacks that, I hope I'm not infringing, was that Atari demon attack?
Oh,
I can't remember Activision.
Sure.
The old arcade game. But anyway, yeah, you kind of want to dodge around, dance around. You can certainly kill enemies with your regular weapon, but the real strength to the character is these really powerful attacks that can almost certainly hit many enemies at a time and even send enemies flying into other enemies. And so the first one that I got cleaned up enough to show you guys is this big muscle-bound blue torso. I'm reminded of that Ghostbusters scene, free-floating, full-torsoed apparition. As you could see, for those of you who are fans of anime, you might see some inspiration from things like Attack on Titan. So that's like the straightforward attack. So on your third attack, if you're holding forward, that's when it does that attack. And then there's another different demon that does a different attack when you're holding up for the final attack. And then there's a different one where instead of it being for the third attack, if you jump up in the air and hold down and press attack instead of jump will always do the drop kick type thing, but from up in the air down and attack will do this third type of demon. We got those other demons working in game, but with very rough art, so we won't reveal those yet until they also are polished up enough, kind of like this first forward attacking demon is.
Yeah, and from what you were telling me, with her being a more magical character,
absolutely.
I think from what you've been telling me, one of the key differences is that with Elric and I guess even Gareth in the Mega Drive version, you don't really have magic until you get the power-ups.
Yeah, great point.
Whereas she kind of already has magic.
Yep.
Like she's got a magic meter that's already filling up from the beginning of the level.
Exactly. Thanks for bringing that up. I totally forgot to mention that. But yeah, so right from the beginning, she has those powerful attacks. But still, just like in all the levels with the other playable characters, you can earn those magical power-ups, and when you grab your first one, it will affect those demons with that kind of elemental magic. So in level 1, suddenly there's a on-fire version of each of the demons when they do their attack, so that'll not only make them look different, but they'll also have increased attack damage on the enemies once you get them powered up to that level. Unfortunately, that version isn't cleaned up yet. It's I'm about to go into the fantastic pixel art program that we use called Promotion NG, and a little plug there for Cosmigo. Promotion NG is an absolutely amazing pixel art and animating and tile level designing tool. Fantastic stuff. But I'm about to go in there and show you guys the work that I've been putting into this demon attack, which is still not finished. So 1 second. Now we're in promotion, and you can see this is the wizardess herself, Zardona, and this is her idle pose. And for the demon attack, what starts to happen right away is you start to get the kind of apparition to appear mostly skeletal with a little bit of a glow, hinting at how the body's going to fill out. But you can see we've got like hair shooting out of the skull, horns
Hmm.
start to grow out, the skull, like it all gets bigger. And then now here you see these blue blobs start to spray out. It's basically the demonic muscle tissue that
Hmm.
comes out as the horns continue to grow. Then the eyes start to glow. So starts to get the muscle tissue around that tightens up. And then you can see there's some drips of kind of demon ectoplasm blood here. And so as a kind of secondary animation, you've got the hair, like it shoots out really quickly, so it's very straight, and then it relaxes as it starts to fall down from gravity as the muscles settle into place. And then the hand, you can see it starts skeletal. It gets the blue flesh around it, and then extra bone grows around to give him a gauntlet. He's
Yeah.
just trying to copy Elric's style with DaemonClaw, but he's
Right.
got his
Yeah.
own bone gauntlet there as he closes his fist, and then does the powerful magical punch, and that sends enemies flying, straight in that direction, obviously. And any enemy that gets hit by that, they can go flying into other enemies and hurt those other enemies as well. And then little trick here for animating, you could see the punch is so powerful, you go immediately from the tail pose where the fist is all the way back here. Immediately, the very next frame has this giant motion blur and to sell the motion, and the now the fist is fully extended. So even if you are animating at like video like 24 frames per second or even 60 frames per second, you would want this level of speed for that sense of just the speed and the power of the punch. But then you need to kind of cool off. You see, you get the kind of bounce back and follow through of the attack. And like, so that's part of the reason, besides making it look cooler and adding that magical kind of bonus to the punch attack, by making it build up a kind of charge on his fist. That was the perfect excuse to have a fancy kind of magical motion blur there. And you
Right.
can
Yeah.
see I put a little, and we got some nice follow through with the hair that like kicks up and kind of gets left behind and then falls back into place. And then the other interesting thing, this arm here with just the bone, I loved the idea. There was a scene in an Attack on Titan episode where the heroes standing around the main character were about to get like basically they were surrounded and people were about to open fire with like guns or grenades or something at them. And
Hmm.
this main character, he could summon one of these big Titan things around him, right? And you like usually it envelops his whole body and then he becomes like this giant creature. He's actually just inside of it, kind of like Evangelion. I'm nerding out in anime manga land, sorry guys. But the point is, in that one cool scene, because he had to transform or summon this thing around him so quickly and to serve the purpose, it only summoned what was necessary to protect them all, not his whole body. So it was just like a skeletal rib cage and skull and arm, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's also a fantastic game for the Sega Saturn called Guardian Heroes. And in that, there was a character you could unlock. It was a kind of a sub boss you had to fight fairly early on called the Undead Hero. And he also was missing an arm like that. And I just thought that was a great look. But I like that idea that he doesn't need to summon the rest of them to do this attack. So
Right.
he
Yeah.
doesn't, you know what I mean? But
Yeah. No, it's great.
thanks very much. And then obviously you need the stuff to follow through and dissipate on the magic side. And then so as he's going back to a kind of idle pose, he also is fading out of existence.
And
So yep.
one of the great things too about how we set up the gameplay with Damon Claw is, any of these attacks that, because this is a pretty big guy,
Oh
like
yeah.
you would imagine, like, oh, that's
Enormous.
a super powerful deck. We can all, we had the opportunity with all the other moves
Mm.
to balance them out with how much magic meter it
Exactly.
might take up and things
Yep.
like that. So that's the little limiting factor, so that you can
Yes.
still strategically use the
Yep.
move only when you need to, kind of thing.
Exactly. Once it's perfected with the programmer Cedric, that's going to be the situation. You basically need to fight and dodge around and wait until your bar to be full or mostly full. I think totally full before she can do any of her demon attacks, but they're strong. And then in the
Right.
case of this one, I think we were talking about this earlier, Corey. Like in one of the other ones that I showed Corey, she disappears for a second while the other demon does an attack. In this case, she stands there, but most of the time you could see as it's spawning, especially behind her here, the demon kind of is like taking up all the space behind her where enemies might be, and that actually it won't do damage, but any enemy that is in this vicinity when she summons this attack will get bumped backward. So
Right.
like basically she can't get hit while she's doing this, at least not by basic enemies. And then,
Right.
so like I said, this animation isn't perfected yet, but you could see the gist of it. It's just a matter of finishing details. Like right now, like these should be dripping.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So like they just kind of all appear there, and then they're going to dissipate into kind of like a shiny little glistening mist
Yeah,
from the
to me, it's
punch.
looking, maybe like 90,
Yeah,
90 to 95%
yeah.
cleaned up kind of thing. Yeah.
There's a joke at BitBeamCannon. We always say "ship it." Once
Yeah.
either if something is terrible and buggy, we might jokingly say "ship it," or like the idea is I wouldn't be embarrassed if a game shipped with this level of finish to the animation. Like it looks good, but there's just little bits and pieces that aren't perfected yet. And obviously,
Yeah.
that's what you backers and not only that backed for the Neo Geo version, of course, but also just the Steam version that people get to play the Neo Geo version. Like we've said before, we had no control or power over the fact that it's late, but what we can do since that kind of gives us extra time to work on things from the game design and the graphics side, I'm putting as much work as I can to give you some cool stuff. And making sure it doesn't just look cool, but plays well with gameplay. But yeah, that's a critical thing, as Corey mentioned, was just balancing. We want these attacks to be powerful and look cool, but they can't ruin the gameplay balance of the game. So that's the interesting thing. She has the strongest magical attacks, but can use them the least frequently. And in the meantime, while she's waiting to be able to do it, she's got the weakest normal attacks. And then
Right.
there's going to be an extra special thing about her when she enters level 5, which is the midway point of the after the gargoyle section.
Mhm.
I mean, people could potentially have seen the whole game now. It's all over the internet in like long plays and stuff. But I'll leave it a little mysterious. But there's a critical part of near the end of the game that ties in with her kind of origin story and the reason she has a strained relationship with her father that's going to actually affect gameplay as well. But that's a teaser for you guys to discover.
Oh, it's a teaser for me too. I'm
Yep.
not even fully.
I'm gonna.
Well, as far
Yep.
as the lore, I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's something that is
Yep.
more your territory
Yep. I'm
here.
gonna
So,
stop recording
yeah.
for a second so that I can tell Corey the secret. 1 second.
Oh wow, yeah. It's pretty cool. I think I had known a lot of the lore,
Yeah.
but there's sounds pretty awesome. Yep.
Yeah, and again, like this part of this goes into it's just there's the extra time. That's going to be a lot of extra work to pull off that kind of plot twist kind of thing. But
Right.
you guys deserve it. And like I said, since you have to be waiting longer, we're going to do everything we can on the BitBeam Cannon side to make sure it's worth your wait. And again, like I said, you've already seen this in action in the game, but I really wanted to show you in a way where I could really stop at any one frame to show you what's going on and the work that's going into this. And especially because, like I said, right now it's hard to appreciate in game because the animation plays a little too fast and it should pause for a split second right here, the whole game for like a quarter of a second or something like that. It should pause before the punch is actually thrown. Similarly to, if you've noticed, if you've played like the Mega Drive version or the demo a long time ago, whenever Elric is in the air and about to do the air bash, the whole game pauses for a split second to, one, it makes timing that attack a lot easier. Did you try the version, Corey, where I had turned off the time freeze?
Yeah.
That tiny time freeze makes it so much easier to time the attack. I was getting constantly hit. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I remember before we really even made the full decision about it, he would jump and just do his full gravity follow through while trying to do the bash. It was really hard to do at that point.
Really hard to pull it off. And like and so anyway, it goes to show things like that. It adds drama to the visuals, to the game, to the feel of it, but it also actually has a big effect on gameplay itself. So all of those things are important to really take your time and tweak and iterate on. But anyway, so that is it. There, I should say too, I've been making pretty good progress, as I mentioned several videos back, roughing in. You guys saw not too long ago the Gareth card illustration, which is done, but I've also been working on her card illustration, and I'm hoping by the next update video I'll be able to show you that, at least with this one demon, because the illustration has her and the 3 demons in it. So I'll probably have to black out the other 2 demon kind of silhouettes for now, because I don't want to reveal them until their sprite animations are done. But you'll be able to see the illustration hopefully by the next update video with her in nice high-res digital painted version and this demon with the same treatment. So hopefully you'll be looking forward to that. But yeah, it's exciting to kind of continue to enrich the lore of the world with this canon character. As you guys know, Gareth was on loan. We put him in as a kind of fan service, so to speak, since the campaign was run by NeoFid on their Kickstarter account. Therefore, a lot of the people that backed DaemonClaw, especially on the Mega Drive side, were people that had previously backed Demons of Asterborg. So it made a lot of sense to put Gareth in that Mega Drive version. But in the other 2 versions, the Neo Geo version here and the PC version, which you still don't know who that character, Corey does, but you guys don't know who the second playable character is yet for that. That'll be coming in another update video. But it's great to be adding these actual canon characters that increase the lore and the history of the world, because knock on wood, hopefully this is just the first game that'll take place in this world and further build out the history and all of that stuff. And it'll be a chance to get into other game genres, but keep telling the story of this world and its history. But anyway, I'm gonna stop there. So that's about it on the DaemonClaw side for this video. As you guys know, in the meantime, Corey has been working hard on getting the Kickstarter campaign ready for his new project, Metal Mac.
Yeah, we've been working hard to get the campaign ready. It's going to come fairly soon. When we have a real date, we'll let you guys know it. But in the meantime, definitely go to metalmac.com and sign up for our mailing list. I know we've mentioned it a couple times before, but for any people that didn't know, basically the mailing list will allow you to get like a secret reward tier, right? Basically, it's kind of like the early bird type reward, but you get a longer amount of time to get it in the campaign. And we're also, wanting the mailing list to continue to be a BitBeam thing moving forward, even beyond this campaign. So it's a good idea for any of our fans to sign up, because it can have similar things happening for future projects, or even other things that you might get to see and other fans may not get to see, in the future. So,
we're strongly considering starting to make some kind of behind the scenes exclusive video content that only people on the mailing list or our Patreon patrons will see. And then going back to Corey's point on the special hidden tiers, when you sign the mailing list, you will be basically emailed as soon as the campaign actually launches secret links to tiers that only people that get the secret link can actually access and back for. And what it does is it locks in the early backer price type of tiers, but for an entire week, the first week of the campaign. So it's like getting the best price without the stress of having to be there like the minute the campaign launches and grab, because the early backer tiers, those are a limited number, and those usually get bought out pretty quick. So if you miss the campaign on the first day, you might miss that best price. So you get a whole week, so you don't have to worry about that. They're not limited in number. And the other special bonus, not only do you lock in the best price for a whole week, is that only these exclusive hidden tiers do you get an additional collectible trading card signed by Corey, who is of course the designer and artist for Metal Mech. So some really enticing reasons. In fact, last I checked, which was many days ago, 212 of you viewers signed up for the mailing list, which is awesome. So thanks very much for those who did. And if you've not yet done so, now you know all the reasons why you might want to do that. But anyway, that's going to be it for this one. Thanks so much. We'll be back again not too long with another update.
If you enjoy our content and want to keep up to date on our games, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, if you want to support our projects, consider becoming a patron. The link's in the description, and we'll see you soon.